Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the fall campaign for Arkham Horror, the card game. Last week when we did Return to the Wages of Sin, we picked up a single experience but one trauma apiece. Jacqueline's mental, Mandy's physical. I'm also adding a house rule to that scenario where the investigators need one heretic per investigator to advance. Otherwise, the scenario would probably be unwinnable. Anyway, we sat on the experience since one experience won't let us do too much other than level 0 swaps. But we'll likely use that later in the campaign. Anyway, now we're into the 5th scenario of the main campaign, but the 6th of this version, Return to For the Greater Good. First up, let's go ahead and set the scene.
5 For the Greater Good. Intro 1. Ever since your brush with death at Hangman's Hill, the situation in Arkham has only worsened. In the days since, there have been more reports of ghost sightings and even several more disappearances. A thin layer of gray mist lingers over the streets at all hours, day and night. As soon as the sun begins to set each evening, doors are shut and locked. Without truly realizing why, very few people dare venture out at night. Some businesses have even closed their doors to customers during the day, citing poor weather. Things are getting out of hand. Check campaign log. If the investigators are members of the Lodge, proceed to Intro 2. If the investigators are enemies of the Lodge, skip to Intro 3. If the investigators learned nothing of the Lodge's schemes, skip to Intro 4. If the investigators are never seen or heard from again, skip to Intro 5.
As you might remember from our experience earlier in the campaign, we are enemies of the Lodge, so we proceed to Intro 3.
Intro 3. The creature that appeared at the Lodge's charity gala is clearly not bound to Joseph Meiger's manor, which means the horror you've experienced could be just the start of something much worse. You're not sure why just yet, but you know the Silver Twilight Lodge is connected to the creature in some way. Perhaps it's time to pay the Lodge a visit, with or without their permission. Skip the setup.
Right. So we've got to do something about that creature, probably about the Spectral Watcher, but anyway. Next up, let's remind everyone of what our tarot reading was. So on the good side, we left the Sun 19, which means each investigator's first turn will have 5 actions in it rather than 3. Unfortunately, because we flipped Strength 8, we can't use any of those actions to play assets. So hopefully, that's a little bit of a gamble because it'll leave us with our shields down for the first turn and the first run through the Mythos deck, but I think the early tempo jump will be worth the risk of getting caught without any way to defend ourselves right off the bat. Plus, it also gives us some time to build up our resources for a normal setup to be on turn 2. Next up, we'll take a look at opening hands. So we're going to change things up this scenario and make Mandy our lead investigator. So she should have... Oh, they stuck together. Never mind. So first up, she's got the Strange Solution Acidic Ichor. Researched, uses 3 supplies. It's a 1 cost to play, 2 combat on commit. Action, spend 1 supply to fight, attacking with a base combat of 6, and the attack deals +2 damage. Next up, we have the Hawkeye Folding Camera. 2 cost to play, will on commit. After the last clue is discovered from your location, place 1 resource from the token pool on this card as evidence. Limit once per game at each location. While Hawkeye Folding Camera has 1 or more evidence, you get +1 will. 2 or more evidence gives you +1 lore. 3 or more evidence gives you +1 sanity. We have Investigate with a 0 cost to play, lore and agility on commit. Investigate when this action begins, gain 2 resources. Then we have a Deduction level 2. If the skill test is successful during an investigation, discover 1 additional clue at this location, 2 additional clues if you succeed by 2 or more, and 2 lore on commit. And quick thinking. If you succeed by 2 or more on a skill test after it resolves, you may immediately take an action as though it were your turn. This action does not count toward the number of actions you can take each turn. Jacqueline's hand has 1 asset in it which we can't play anyway. Clairvoyance level 5. 4 cost to play, lore, or 2 lore and a will on commit. uses 3 charges. As an action, spend 1 charge to investigate using will instead of lore. Plus 3 will for this investigation and discover 2 additional clues at your location. But if you reveal a good symbol, take 2 horror. Then we have read the signs. Investigate plus will, ignoring any keyword or effect which triggers during the investigation. And if you succeed, discover 1 additional clue. Occult theory, which gives Jacqueline will icons equal to her lore and lore equal to her will. So it's giving her 3 lore. No, it's giving her 3 will and 5 lore on commit. Spectral Razor, which is a 2 cost to play, will and combat on commit. Fight, adding will to your skill value for the attack, and you may engage the attacked enemy immediately before your attack. Deals plus 1 damage, plus 2 if the enemy is non-elite. And Storm of Spirits. Fight using will instead of combat, plus 2 will. If you succeed, deal 3 damage to each enemy at your location. But if you pull a bad symbol, deal 2 damage to each investigator. So something we do need to be careful of there. So actually, Jacqueline can defend herself decently well. We just need to hope to duck the Mythos deck giving us any enemies that we have to deal with for a turn. But anyway. Next up, let's go through the starting act and agenda decks. So first we'll take a look at Agenda 1A, the Hierophant 5. Adapt your beliefs and be open to new things. You are expected to conform. Do not stray from the path. Forced, when you defeat a Silver Twilight enemy, you leave behind some evidence of the scuffle. Move 1 doom from each enemy at that location to the current agenda, and we need 8 doom. The only good thing about that is it doesn't have the Ancient Evils clause on it. So if we move doom by that effect, we can't cause the agenda to advance. And our starting Act 1A, Infiltrating the Lodge. The Lodge is up to something, you're sure of it. You're not sure exactly what their plans entail, but your suspicions have proven correct so far. You have decided to sneak into the Lodge's manor in French Hill to learn what they are plotting. As a reaction, after you evade an enemy, remove all doom from it, and we need 4 clues to advance, 2 per investigator. Anyway, last up. Come on, get back in there. There we go. Alright, so now Jacqueline and Mandy will move over to the map, and we'll join them over there. Jacqueline and Mandy are starting up at the lodge gate, so we'll take a look here. Starting at with the flavor text on the unrevealed side. As you approach the gates of the lodge's manor in French Hill, you're surprised to see several automobiles parked nearby in the street. Light shines in several of the windows of the manor. Is there a gathering of some sort here tonight? Flips over to find. Shroud of 2 clues. Enemies can't spawn at the lodge gates. Resign. On second thought, maybe coming here was a bad idea. The headquarters of the Silver Twilight Lodge is a gorgeous Victorian mansion in French Hill, overlooking most of the city. Light flickers beyond its prominent stained glass door. I'll get the 2 clues for that. And then the only other location I'm going to mention right now is the Lodge cellar members only. The rear entrance to the Silver Twilight Lodge is hidden. You can't enter the Lodge cellar. The Lodge gates gain action. Investigators at the Lodge gates spend 1 per investigator clues as a group. Reveal the Lodge cellar. Several windows along the basement level of the manor reveal the dark cellar within. Alright, so going into the investigation phase, even though I'm changing it up and making Mandy our lead investigator, that only matters for the purposes of things that might happen to the lead investigator. So this time they'll be happening to Mandy instead of Jacqueline, who they usually have been, but we are going to start off this first round with Jacqueline, and we're actually going to stay right here at the map. So we do have to remember during this first turn that we have 5 actions. Jacqueline will lead it. Actually, before we officially start the turn, Mandy will exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to draw a skill. So she will draw Opportunist. Commit only to a skill test you're performing for 1 question mark. If you succeed by 3 or more, return Opportunist to your hand after this test instead of discarding it. Okay, cool. So Jacqueline's first action will be to pay 2 resources and play read the sign. So we're investigating plus will and discovering 1 additional clue if we succeed. Given that I think this is going to be the only skill test Jacqueline takes this turn, I am going to throw her ability at it. One, two, three. Okay. First token up we find a -3, which would not fail us by itself. +1 and tentacle touched. So we'll cancel the tentacle because we have to. Then that brings us down to a net -2, so we still pass, which means we get the 2 clues. Which action 2, Jacqueline will immediately spend those 2 clues to reveal the lodge cellar. Shroud of 3, no clues. You slip through an unlocked window into the building's cellar. It contains only a large wine rack and several unmarked barrels. A heavy steel door also bars your passage deeper into the basement. You almost don't want to know what lies beyond it. Almost. Then action 3, Jacqueline will move down to the lodge cellar, and here I'll mention the lodge catacombs, since it is somewhat related. The door to the catacombs is locked. You cannot enter the lodge catacombs unless you control at least 1 skull, cultist, rune, elder thing key. A windowless steel door blocks your way into the paths unknown. You get the feeling this basement is much larger than it appears. So I do have an extra set of tokens set aside for that purpose. Those aren't going to be those don't come out of the chaos bag. Those are actually separate from your chaos tokens in the bag. I actually have a whole mess of unused tokens, and I keep a set of those in with this campaign specifically for this scenario. But anyway, action 4 for Jacqueline will be to take back a resource, and then action 5, she's actually going to draw a card because I want to try to get some more assets into play. So Jacqueline draws Chthonian Stone, Stygian Waymark. 2 cost to play, lore and will on commit. We can seal a bad symbol for 3 pulls of the tentacle, which with Jacqueline's ability in theory she should be able to avoid, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. Mandy's turn. Action 1, she'll move to the lodge cellar. Action 2, she'll move over to the lobby, and we'll take a look at this. The front entrance to the lodge's manor is guarded by 2 men in trench coats. Perhaps there's another way into the building. And this opens into Shroud of 3, 2 clues. Forced. After the lobby is revealed, place 1 random set-aside key on it. The interior of the mansion is clean and well kept, so as you would expect from Arkham's most prestigious social club. Plaques, pictures, and other trinkets adorn the wooden walls, hinting at the lodge's long and storied history. So I'll get the 2 clues, and I gotta double check how you can take keys off. I believe it's a free action if there are no clues on the location. Yes. So if a location with the key has no clues, has no clues, an investigator can take control of its key as a fast action ability. If an enemy with a key on it leaves play, the investigator who caused that enemy to leave play must take control of its key. If the enemy leaves play through some other means, place its key on its location, and then as an action, we can trade keys back and forth between investigators. So I'm going to shuffle these up. Actually, I've got a second bag up here that I can use for this purpose. I'll grab that. Dump those in there. This green bag is what I'm going to use to randomize the keys that go on the location. This is my normal chaos bag. Okay, so the key that's going on there is the skull key. So that was action 2. Action 3, Mandy will investigate. She's at 5. And I think, actually, we'll use it burning the midnight oil to initiate the investigation, so she'll get 2 resources as well, which will bring her up to 7. And then I will commit... Actually, we'll commit a quick thinking. Let's actually, yeah, let's do a quick thinking and a deduction. I think the tempo jump here is worthwhile. So right now she's at 5, 6, 7, 8 to 3. She's up 5. Hopefully getting both clues. Get both clues and another action. All of which she gets with a +1. So she gets a +1. So she gets both clues. She'll also take the key as a fast action because she might as well. And then we've got a quick thinking action, so this still isn't action 4 yet, which will actually tip the camera just a little bit to move down to the lodge and see what's down here. The lounge, I should say. As you approach the staircase leading to the second floor of the mansion, you smell burning candle wax. It is quiet enough that you can hear the gentle crinkling of a page being turned. This will reveal shroud of 2 4 clues. Forced, after the lounge is revealed, put the set-aside vault and the library locations into play. Investigators at the lounge spend 1 per investigator clues as a group. Put the set-aside hidden passageways location into play. The lounge is warm, cozy, and surprisingly empty. There's got to be something else here, right? Alright, so we put the vault and the library into play. Where are you? Vault and library, okay. So we'll put those down here. Actually, I'm going to move this up just slightly so I can hopefully get everything in a map shot. Catacombs are there, library, and okay. That should work for the time being, unless we have to put, unless we're going to end up having to put more locations on the lounge catacombs side, and I would be amazed if we didn't. But anyway, so I will mention the vault here. The door to the vault is locked. You can't enter the vault unless you control the Elder Thing key. So we'll get the 4 clues for that, and we'll take a look at the flavor text on the vault. A heavy wooden door with an iron-barred window appears to lead into a small vault. It is sealed shut from prying eyes. All right, good to know. Let's see. So that was Mandy's 1, 2, investigate 3, quick thinking down to the lodge. Okay, so now we're on actions 4 and 5. So for action 4, Mandy will investigate. She's up 3. Skull. Excuse me, I got a little frog in my throat. Skull is -X, where X is the highest number of Doom on a cultist enemy in play, which right now is 0. So that gets her another clue. And then action 5 will be to run back to investigate. Still up 3. Skull again, so we get yet another clue. Anyway, that will do it for Mandy. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, first round of the game, so we have no enemies in play. So we'll go ahead and reset everything here. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 8. And Jacqueline also gets her ability reset, gains 1 resource and goes to 5. Mandy draws. Death 13, where was this a turn ago? You get +1 will, and when the game begins, if Death 13 is in your hand, put it into play. Jacqueline draws. Drawn to the Flame, which lets her draw the top card of the encounter deck, then discover 2 clues at her location. Could be handy for a little bit later with higher shroud locations. Mythos phase, we get our first Doom on the agenda, and we have to hope to duck whammies here. If we do, then Strength 8 didn't hurt us at all, and we got a decent jump out of it, too. Mandy draws. Locked door. Attached to a location with the most clues and without a locked door attached. Attached location can't be investigated. As an action, test Will 4 to break, or test Combat 4 to break the door down, or Agility 4 to pick the locks. If you succeed, discard locked door. So that's an annoyance, but not an impossible one, probably. Jacqueline draws. Vice and Villainy. Revelation, attach Vice and Villainy to a non-permanent asset you control. Limit 1 per asset. Forced, when the encounter deck runs out of cards, discard attached card. Or discard attached asset. Forced, when an attached asset leaves play, test Will 3. If you fail, attach Vice and Villainy to a different non-permanent asset you control, except because we couldn't play assets the first round, that is a great time for that card to come up, so Vice and Villainy can't attach to anything and gets discarded. So, other than a locked door on the lounge, we kind of actually dodged the bullet here a little bit. And before we go into the investigation phase, I'll use the open player window to draw a skill from Ancestral Knowledge, so Mandy will find Eureka, which will give her a will, lore, or agility on commit, and if you're successful, the investigator performing the test draws the top 3 cards of their deck for a card, draws it, and shuffles their deck. Okay. And now we do have the clues, actually, to advance the act. So Mandy will spend those 4 clues that she just got. And we'll go ahead and advance. The indoctrination. Let me move over here, see if I can read it a little better from this side. At first, your investigation yields few answers. There is indeed a meeting of some sort happening at the manor tonight, though you're not sure why. Finally, you catch a break. On a nearby table, a written summons explains the reason for tonight's gathering. Our timetable has moved forward. We must complete the trap by midnight tonight. The device we found will aid us in binding the Revenant, so it is imperative that we find a way to open it before the ceremony begins. This thing does not want to focus for me. We have no time to waste with prudence or cowardice. Report to Nathan Wick in the sanctum at once. You are left with more questions than answers. If the inner sanctum is not in play, put it into play. Spawn the set-aside Nathan Wick enemy in the inner sanctum, Master of Indoctrination side face-up. Attach the set-aside puzzle box story asset to him. For the remainder of the game, the current act gains. After you evade an enemy as a reaction, remove all doom from it. Place this card next to the Act deck as a reminder, then advance to Act 2A. So we need to get the Inner Sanctum in play. Let's see, I think we also need Nathan Wick and the puzzle box, along with the Inner Sanctum. That connects on... Okay, that connects to the Lodge Catacombs. So that's there. Nathan Wick gets the puzzle box attached to him at the Inner Sanctum. Okay. Alright, so that goes next to the Act. We'll take a look at Act 2A. Obtaining the device. Whatever the Lodge is planning, it involves a device they will do anything to open. It seems a Lodge member by the name of Nathan Wick holds the device at the moment. One way or another, you have to get your hands on it. Objective. If Nathan Wick is added to the victory display by any means, choose an investigator to take control of the attached puzzle box and advance. Alright, We'll take a quick stop over at the map to take a look at what we've added before we go into our next investigation phase. We added the inner sanctum down here connected to the lodge catacombs. So we'll take a quick look at everything over here. The door to the inner sanctum is locked. You can't enter the inner sanctum unless you control the cultist key, which is still in our set-aside key bag. At the end of the catacombs lies a set of iron doors adorned with the symbol of the Silver Twilight Lodge. 3 arrows pointed upwards. Unsurprisingly, the doors are locked tight. We'll take a look at Nathan Wick, and I don't think we need to be bothered with the puzzle box right now. Nathan Wick, Master of Initiation. 354. Retaliate. Action Parley. Test Will 3 to persuade Nathan to let you find another option. If you succeed, place 1 resource on Nathan Wick. Then, if there are 1 per investigator resources on him, add them to the victory display. If you fail, Nathan Wick attacks you. Victory 1, 1 and 1 on attack. Alright, so now we need to go find the cultist key to get down to the inner sanctum, and we need the Elder Thing key to get down here into the vault. Let's go into the investigation phase next, and we'll start with Mandy staying right here at the map. Since Mandy right now can't investigate the locked door, Action 1 will bring her down to the library. We also don't have the Elder Thing key to get in here. Take a look at the library. A narrow, windowless hallway slopes upward from the lounge, leading you to a tall wooden door. This will flip into Shroud of 6, 2 clues. While investigating the library, if you control the rune key, which we don't, the library gets -3 Shroud. Even the Lodge's library is arranged to showcase the organization's wealth and power. There are hundreds of books among the room's tall, cramped shelves. Victory 1. Well, we don't have the rune key yet. Actually, we only have 1 key out right now, and I think we're pretty much sitting tight since our random key gave us the skull key. Action 2 will bring Mandy back to the lounge, and Action 3 up to the library. And then since that'll do it for Mandy's turn, so since Jacqueline really can't do anything right now, we got to get the 2 clues out for the library. Well, fortunately for us, Jacqueline has a way to get those clues with it drawn to the flame in her hand. So, which might actually, a 6th shroud might be what that's actually made for, but anyway. Action 1, I'll get her together with Mandy. Action 2 will bring her down to the lounge. And Action 3, Jacqueline will draw a card, so she will draw. Shriveling level 5. This is a sight for sore eyes. Will 2 combat on commit. Uses 4 charges. As an action, spend a charge to fight. Using will instead of combat, +3 will and deal +2 damage for this attack. If you reveal a bad symbol, take 2 horror. That's not spent yet. That was just drawn, but that is very much a sight for sore eyes, which I will probably... I know what her turn's going to... I think I know what her turn's going to entail, barring any kind of attack of opportunity. But anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, our only enemy is Nathan Wick, but he's basically inaccessible at the moment, so I'll go ahead and reset everything here. We'll ready these 2 up, and then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 9. Jacqueline gains 1 and goes to 6. I can never flip that over. There we go. Mandy draws. Occult Lexicon. This is also very much a sight for sore eyes. 2 cost to play, 2 lore on commit, limit 1 per deck. When you play a copy of Bloodright, either change each 2 to a 3 or shuffle it into your deck instead of discarding it. And then after Occult Lexicon enters play, search your bonded cards for 3 copies of Bloodright. 1 to your hand, other 2 into your deck, and it takes up a hand slot. Jacqueline draws. Another shriveling level 5. This is beautiful, which we saw when Jacqueline drew it last turn. Mythos phase, Doom on the agenda goes up to 2. Mandy draws. Oh joy, Mark of the Order. Surge. Check which investigator controls each key. The investigator with the Skull key takes 1 damage. Cultist key takes 1 horror. Rune key discards 2 random cards from their hand. Elder Thing key loses 3 resources. So Mandy does take a damage because she controls the Skull key. And then that will surge from Mandy into... Oh boy. If you control at least one key, Beneath the Lodge gains peril and its skill test gets +1 difficulty. Revelation test lore 3. For each point you fail by, you must either lose 1 clue or take 1 horror. Mandy right now is up 1 because she's got the... Because right now she's got the Skull key, so that's actually a Will 4 test. So I will commit Eureka to put her up 2. And do I want Opportunist to go up 3? I think I do. So we're up 3. Skull, as we saw earlier, is minus X, where X is the highest number of Doom on a cultist in play, which right now is 0. So that's passed. Opportunist comes back to Mandy's hand, and I get to search from Eureka. I will have Mandy go... I really need to get Milan into play to get her resource generation going, so I'm going to go 6 deep for 1 target. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Card 1, Magnifying Glass, which I don't think I particularly want. Card 2, Guided by the Unseen, which I'm also not particularly happy to see. Card 3, Surprising Find. Okay, I might end up drawing that, but I've got to see what all's in here. Card 4, you handle this one. Card 5, Research Librarian, which is also helpful, or tempting. And card 6, Pathfinder. Ooh. Well, we actually get to see Surprising Find work its normal purpose for once. So when you search your deck and Surprising Find is among the searched cards, put it into play in your threat area. You must commit it to the next eligible skill test you perform. If that skill test is successful, draw 1 card. So we do get that. But I think we still get something in addition to that. Put it into play in your play area. So I think that right now this is a choice for Mandy between Pathfinder and Research Librarian. And honestly, I think mobility could be a bigger problem in this scenario. So I'm going to take Pathfinder, which will help out with her movement. So we'll give that a shuffle. I'd love to see that other Pathfinder, but... Okay, so that's all handled. And Jacqueline draws an Acolyte. 3/1/2, spawn at any empty location. After Acolyte enters play, place 1 Doom on it. We'll put him at the... We'll put him at the Lodge Catacomb, since we're gonna... Well, that's an empty location, and it's somewhat out of the way for the time being. Probably not for too much longer, though. But anyway, so before we leave the Mythos phase, Mandy will exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to draw another skill, so she will draw another copy of Deduction. If the skill, we saw this earlier when Mandy used that to get a jump on things. But anyway, into the investigation phase now. And Jacqueline's turn is simple enough. We'll start with her and we'll head over to the map. Jacqueline's action 1 is going to mean that she can now defend herself with the shriveling. So we looked at this earlier. I'll get the 4 charges out for that because we're not using it for a while. There are the 4 charges. Once again from LCG Tokens on Etsy. I'll provide a link to their store in the description down below as usual. Action 2 down to the library. And action 3... we'll play Drawn... we'll play Drawn to the Flame. So Jacqueline draws. Unhallowed Land. Test Will 5, or Agility 5. For each point you fail by, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If a Cursed Treachery is discarded by this effect, deal 1 direct horror to your investigator and to each of your ally assets. Thankfully, we don't have any ally assets right now, but we are down 3. And I don't think I can improve it too much, so Jacqueline is down 3. Skull is now -1, so Jacqueline fails by 4. If we nail a curse, she takes 1 horror, which I'm not too bothered by. And we see... we actually missed the curses, but... yeah, we missed curses. I thought the Knight of the Inner Circle was going to pull a token, but I'm actually not sad to see the Wizard of the Order go away. So we do miss that, but Jacqueline does get the 2 clues off of the library. So that's all handled, and that's Jacqueline's turn. Action 1 for Mandy. What did I do with her? Here we are. Action 1, she'll go ahead and play Pathfinder. We never took a look at this. 3 costs to play, which I'll pay now. Agility on commit. Fast action during your turn. If you're not engaged with any enemies, exhaust Pathfinder to move to a connecting location. Searchers after horror haunt strange, far places. H.P. Lovecraft, The Picture in the House. So we'll put that into play in her play area. Action 2. Might be able to set Mandy up with a way to defend herself as well. So, because I'm not quite ready to move in with that Acolyte yet, I will spend 1 resource. Here we go. Single. To play out her Strange Solution, Acidic Ichor. So now we'll get 3 supplies for that, and then she can spend a supply to fight with a base combat skill of 6, dealing +2 damage. So I'll get the supplies out for that. There we are. And then action 3... we'll actually exhaust Pathfinder to move over to the Lodge cellar. And then action 3 will be to, I think, spend 2 resources to play out the Occult Lexicon. So we'll get our 3 copies of Bloodright. That stays there. We'll take a quick look at Bloodright before I shuffle the other 2 into the deck. So, Will, Lure, Combat, and Commit. Draw 2 cards, discard up to 2 cards from your hand. For each card you discard this way, either gain a resource or spend 1 resource to deal 1 damage to an enemy at your location without provoking attacks of opportunity. So, testless damage is always a wonderful thing in this game. But anyway... so we could very easily make our way toward the Inner Sanctum, and if we can find that cultist key, we we could probably just beat Nathan Wick up. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself there. That was action 3 for Mandy. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, our enemies don't do anything right now in terms of being hunters. So we'll go ahead and reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Mandy and Jacqueline each end up at 1 resource from gaining 1 in the upkeep phase. Mandy draws. Dr. Milan Christopher, you are very welcome right now. +1 lore and commit as well. And after you successfully investigate, gain a resource. Let me check Mandy's hand size. I don't think she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, no problems there. Jacqueline draws. Enchanted Bow. Ooh, this will give us options. 3 cost to play, will and agility on commit. Uses 3 charges. As an action, exhaust Enchanted Bow to fight. You must use either will or lore or agility. Spoiler alert, will. Instead of combat and get +1 skill value for the attack. Dealing +1 damage. As an additional cost to initiate this ability, you may spend 1 charge to have this attack target a non-elite enemy at a connecting location. If you do, ignore aloof and retaliate for this attack. So could be very helpful to have. Mythos phase, 3 Doom on the agenda, 4 in play because of the Acolyte. Mandy draws. Another Acolyte, which spawns at an empty location. We'll put that... We have to put that at the lobby, most likely, so we'll put a Doom there. Jacqueline can probably go deal with that, but Jacqueline, assuming Jacqueline doesn't draw anything catastrophic, she draws a Cellkeeper spawning at any Sanctum location. 3/3/2, alert. Forced, after Cellkeeper enters play, place 2 Doom and 1 random set-aside key on it. Forced, when you evade Cellkeeper by 2 or more, take control of its key. Any Sanctum location, oh boy. That looks like it's going to be the Lodge Catacombs. So 2 Doom and 1 set-aside key on it, which these are the keys I need. So I would not say no remotely to the cultist key right here. Actually, that's the key I would probably prefer right now. So, of course, we pull probably the most useless key right now, the rune key. So right now we're up to 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're advancing next turn unless we can get rid of that Cellkeeper, and I think Mandy's going to have to. That just moves 1 Doom up, right? Yes, okay. So, yeah. Before we leave the Mythos phase, Mandy will exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to draw another skill, so she will draw another Opportunist. Commit only to a test you're performing, and if you succeed by 3 or more, return it to your hand instead of discarding it after the test. So anyway, that will do it for the Mythos phase. Investigation phase now. And we're probably going to be living over at the map. So I think we'll start with Jacqueline. Action 1 for Jacqueline will be 3 resources for the bow. Which I'll get the charges out for that in a second, but I'm only going to put 2 because of action 3. So there are the 2 charges for the bow. Technically, pretend for about the next 10 seconds that it's actually got 3 charges on it. It's supposed to, but I'm going to be using one of those. So action 2, Jacqueline will move up to the lounge. And action 3, here's where I only put 2 charges on the bow, because I'm going to exhaust the bow and spend a charge to target the Acolyte up here. And I'm going to put Jacqueline's ability into this, since this is her last action. So she's at, right now, 5, 6. to 3. She's up 3, and I'm throwing her ability into this, so we're probably fine. One, two, three. Okay. So first token up. A 0. Then an Elder Thing. And a +1. So I'll cancel the 0 and the Elder Thing. The Acolyte's defeated, but... Oh no, it's whenever you defeat a Silver Twilight enemy. Never mind. So the Acolyte doesn't get its doom up. That will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy will Pathfinder down. Because she's got control of at least one of those keys, she'll Pathfinder down to the Lodge Catacombs right into a mess. So both the Cellkeeper and the Acolyte will engage with her. And then the Lodge Catacombs. Shroud of 4, no clues. Forced. When Lodge Catacombs is revealed, put the set-aside Inner Sanctum and each of the set-aside Sanctum doorway locations into play. Beyond the steel door, torchlit stone halls lead deeper underground. Compared to the polished wood upstairs, this area feels grimy and unclean. What the hell is this place? So we'll get the Sanctum doorways. Should be... okay, 3 of them. Alright, so we still need to find the Cultist key at the very least. I'm not as concerned about the... I'm not as concerned right now about the Elder Thing key, unless the... where did that drop to? There we are. Unless the vault reveals into victory points, but even then, the way this campaign likes to spiral, I might not worry about it too much. But anyway, that was Pathfinder, so this is action 1 for Mandy. We'll play out a copy of Bloodright, so I'm going to draw 3 cards. I'm going to change the... because of the leveled up Occult Lexicon, I'm going to change the 2 on it to on this Bloodright to a 3. So I'm going to draw 3 cards. Card 1 is a Pantalone, which might be tempting, but that's probably discard fodder most likely. Card 2, Eon Shard, which would be very tempting as well. Card 3 is a Research Librarian, which we saw earlier when I was looking at Eureka. So, I'm going to discard 3 cards. So I'm going to discard Hawkeye Folding Camera, Research Librarian, and... probably Death 13, actually. Because once I get Milan into play, I'll probably have enough lore for that. So I'll discard those. Then I'll spend 3 resources to take out the Cellkeeper, which will give me the Rune Key. And... alright, so he's dead. One of those Doom is actually going to move up because that is a Silver Twilight enemy. So we have 4 in play now. 5 thanks to the Acolyte. That's gone. And then for action 3, actually that was, no, Pathfinder, then Bloodright. Okay, so action 2 will be to attack the Acolyte with a charge of Strange Solution. Now I have to commit Surprising Find because it's the next skill test I'm performing, so that gives me a question mark, which is actually giving me combat. So right now I'm up 3, right now I'm up 4, and I'll commit Opportunist to go up 5. Skull is -1, so that means we pass by 4, which means the Acolyte's defeated and his doom doesn't go up to the agenda because the Acolyte's not a Silver Twilight enemy. Opportunist comes back to my hand, and Mandy gets to draw a card from Surprising Find. So Mandy finds Guided by the Unseen, which I wasn't happy to see earlier. 2 costs to play, lore and will on commit. Uses 4 secrets. During a skill test at your location, the performing investigator may search the top 3 cards of their deck for a card that can be committed to this test. You may spend 1 secret to commit that card. Shuffle the performing investigator's deck. Alright, so that was action 2. Action 3, I will move to this sanctum doorway. And then Mandy will find. Beyond a stone archway lies an unmarked iron door, mocking you with untold secrets and hidden truths. The flavor text will be the same on all 3 of these, but anyway, Mandy finds. Shroud of 4, no clues, Shrouded Archive. Choose a key and test. Choose a key on a card and test Will or Lore 8. Reduce the difficulty of this test by 1 for each Silver Twilight enemy in play. If you succeed, swap the chosen key with another key in play, or with another set aside key. Ooh, that could be helpful. But anyway, getting a little bit ahead of myself there. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, our only enemy right now is Nathan Wick, but he's not really doing anything. So we'll go ahead and reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Mandy and Jacqueline will both go up to 2 resources on their upkeep phase. Mandy draws. Mob Enforcer, why now? Prey Bearer only, Hunter. As an action, spend 4 resources to parley, discard Mob Enforcer. You knew you shouldn't have borrowed money from the O'Banion gang. It seems like they're always looking to collect at the worst times. Jacqueline draws. Another enchanted bow, which we might need later. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Mythos phase, we got our 5th Doom on the agenda. Then Mandy draws. Mysterious Chanting. Revelation. Place 2 Doom on the nearest cultist enemy. If there are no cultist enemies in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a cultist and draw it. Shuffle the encounter deck. Well, we have no cultists in play. Actually, we do. We have Nathan Wick in play, so 2 Doom on him, which means the agenda is going to be advancing next turn. And then Jacqueline draws. Impending Evils, Peril. You must either take 1 and 1, or put Impending Evils into play next to the agenda deck, and it gains Surge. If there are 3 copies of Impending Evils next to the agenda deck, discard them and advance the current agenda. Ugh. Which I think we're going to take 1 and 1 on that. Because I don't want to have to worry about just advancing the agenda full stop. Because that's gonna happen at the worst possible time. But anyway, we're into the investigation phase now, and well, before we jump into that, Mandy will exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to draw her last skill from that. She's also unexhausted Pathfinder, so Mandy will draw. Quick Thinking. If this test succeeds by 2 or more, after it resolves, you may immediately take an action as if it were your turn. This action does not count toward the number of actions you can take each turn. So right now that test on the Shrouded Archive is a 7. That's either Will or Lore. Mandy might be able to get up enough to take that test, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself there. Okay, going into the investigation phase, Mandy needs to deal with this Mob Enforcer, and she doesn't have the money to do it. So, I think we're going to have to try to nail it. Actually, we could get Jacqueline over to her. We could get Jacqueline as far as the Lodge Catacombs, and then take an attack of opportunity to move up there. Mostly so we can use the ability, because I need to make sure we can get rid of that Mob Enforcer. Which actually might not be a terrible idea. So Jacqueline's turn will take us over to the map. We still ultimately need to find the cultist key to get into the inner sanctum, but we've got a more immediate problem because we've got this mob enforcer on Mandy, and Mandy can't afford to pay him. So, Jacqueline's investigation phase, I don't know if I get to say this about an investigation phase for somebody, but blink and you will miss it. So Jacqueline's 3 actions were to move to the Lodge catacombs as close as she can get to Mandy for her turn. That will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy is going to initiate a move action because it's not one of the 4 fight, evade, parley, or resign. She'll initiate an attack. She'll take an attack of opportunity from the mob enforcer, taking 1 damage to move up to the Lodge catacombs. Action 2, she'll use the acidic ichor on the... I think I put that in the wrong place. Yes, I did. She'll use a charge of the acidic ichor on the mob enforcer. Right now she's up 2. We'll commit opportunist, I think, to go up 3, and quick thinking to go up 4. And I'm going to put Jacqueline's ability into it because it's an investigator at your location, and right now Mandy is at Jacqueline's location. So Mandy is up 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay. First token we find is a -2. Second up, a skull and another skull. So the skull is -X, where X is the highest number of doom on a cultist enemy in play, which right now is 2. So I'll cancel both skulls. Mandy was up 4, so I lose opportunist. I will get a quick thinking action though, but the mob enforcer is also dead, thankfully. Pro tip, by the way, never throw acid on anybody, no matter how justified it is. We only did this because we were desperate, because, hey, we're trying to save the world, and yeah, we don't have time to worry about paying a gang money. So anyway, minor rambling aside, so that was action 2, yes. But we have a quick thinking action first, so Mandy will move down to this sanctum doorway for her quick thinking action. And then here she'll find Shroud of 3, 4 clues. When the round ends, each investigator and each ally asset in the ceremony room takes 1 direct horror. Cancel this effect if an investigator in the ceremony room controls the skull key. At the center of this room lies an ornately carved stone altar. Blood drains from the altar as though a series of channels in the mosaic stone floor. Victory 2. Ooh. We may need to get Mandy working on those clues, but mostly because I want the victory points, but we also have the overarching problem of we need to find the cultist key so we can get in to the inner sanctum and work on Nathan. But action 3, I think, will be an investigate. I could get them back together for... Actually, action 3 will be to take a resource to go up to 3. I'll do a little bit of setup for next turn. Actually, I could have Pathfindered in there, so we'll pretend I did that instead. Actually, wait a second. Let me back this up a little bit. So action 1 was to move up. Action 2 was to attack. Yeah, Pathfinder down. I'll pretend I Pathfindered down, so pretend I didn't use an action. And then action 3 will be to take a resource. Now that I got that little derpiness out of the way, enemy phase, our only enemy right now is Nathan Wick. So I'll go ahead and reset everything here. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 4. Jacqueline gains 1 and goes up to 3. Mandy draws. Burning the Midnight Oil, we used this earlier. Check her hand size, I think she's okay. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Barely, but she's okay for now. Jacqueline draws. Prophetic, 3 cost to play, 2 will on commit. Uses 2 resources, replenish those at the start of each round. Resources on Prophetic may be spent to pay for fortune, spell, or spirit cards. During a skill test on same, spend 1 resource from Prophetic. You get +1 skill value for the test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we're fine there. Mythos phase, the agenda does advance because of the 2 doom on Nathan Wick. Oop. Right. Meeting of minds. As you explore the building, you almost wander into a heated debate between several members of the lodge in a nearby hallway. Seeing an opportunity to learn more, you hide and eavesdrop on the conversation. Mr. Sanford's orders are to complete the Geist trap at any cost, one of them says firmly. If that means we must put lives in danger, so be it. The good of the many outweigh the good of the few. You know this. Another member, a woman, pounds her fist on the wall. No, our first resort cannot be to spill blood. There must be another way. There is no time, the other responds, and there is a murmur of agreement among the rest. It is clear you do not have the will to proceed. Take her away. We will make her see for herself the sacrifices that must be made for the greater good. No! You can't do this, the woman yells. You wince as her screams echo down the corridor. What are they planning to do? Discard the top 5 cards of the encounter deck. In player order, each investigator must draw a cultist enemy discarded this way. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see what we nail here. Okay, so we nail... Actually, I'm very okay with seeing another impending evils go, but we do draw an acolyte, which we will have to put... We'll put that in the lobby, I guess, which puts a doom on it. So Mandy would have drawn that, but alas... Those all go to the discard pile. And we take a look at our last agenda. Ends and means. The Lodge will resort to drastic measures in order to achieve their goals. If you don't act quickly, blood will surely be shed. Each Silver Twilight enemy in a Sanctum location loses aloof. Forced, when you defeat a Silver Twilight enemy, you leave behind some evidence of the scuffle. Move 1 doom from each enemy at that location to the current agenda. Okay, so from each enemy at that location, I might have done something a little bit wrong when I defeated the Cell Keeper earlier. I might have needed to advance a turn earlier, but anyway, I'll worry about that later during editing. But we need 10 doom to advance, and we already have 1 because of the Acolyte. So Mandy will draw. Impending Evils, Peril. I either take... We saw this earlier. We either take 1 and 1 or put it next to the agenda deck and it gains Surge. There are 3 copies next to the agenda deck. Discard them and advance the current agenda. Well, we are on the last agenda, so... And we've got the other 2 in the discard pile already. Do I want to risk a Surge? I don't think I do. So Mandy will take 1 and 1. Mostly so I can keep that clear. And that way, if I draw an enemy, Jacqueline's in a much better position to deal with it. So Jacqueline draws. The aforementioned enemy spawn any location connected to yours. Prey most keys controlled, so it's looking for Mandy. Alert aloof hunter. After you enter Knight of the Inner Circle's location, or vice versa, test agility 4. If you fail, Knight of the Inner Circle engages you. Okay, so I'll put that at a location connected to mine. We'll put that at the Lodge cellar. So that's mild, I would say a mild catastrophe at this point, but it does open up the Shrouded Archive for us a little bit more. So I could potentially use that and Jacqueline's ability to go get the cultist key that we actually need, but we're into the investigation phase now. Pathfinder should be unexhausted, as should Ancestral Knowledge, technically, even though there's no skills left under Ancestral Knowledge. But anyway, investigation phase, Mandy's turn will start at her play area. I forgot to mention at end of round, but every investigator and ally asset at Mandy's location would have taken 1 direct horror, except Mandy does control the skull key, so that clause isn't relevant. Anyway, action 1 for Mandy will be to play out for 4 resources. Her old chum Milan. You are very late to the party, but you're still a sight for sore eyes. 4 cost to play, you get +1 lore. After you successfully investigate, gain a resource. While I truly pray that this nightmare is just a singular abomination, I must admit that I am exhilarated by the possibility that this is but one specimen of a new genus. Then action 2 will be to investigate. 5, 6 to 3 up 3. I'll commit... Actually, we'll use investigate burning the midnight oil. We'll use burning the midnight oil to initiate the investigate, so I get 2 of those resources back. And then I will commit deduction, so I'm up... Let's see, 5, 6, 8. I'm up 5, trying to get 3 clues. Elder thing is -3. If you fail, move 1 doom from the nearest cultist enemy to the current agenda. So we don't fail. We were up 5, 6, 8. We were up 5. -3 brings us to up 2. So we still get 3 clues off the location. And a resource, which I will get once I get the clues off of the location. And then action 3 will be to run the investigate back up 3. -1 gets us the last clue off the location, so we've got victory points now. And then we'll Pathfinder as a fast action coming out of this last action. Also, Mandy should get a resource from Milan. But we'll Pathfinder over to the map. Pathfinder will bring Mandy up from the ceremony room to the lodge catacombs. That will do it for her turn. Jacqueline, for action 1, will move down to the lodge, or down to the shrouded archive. Action 2 will take the test there. Choose a key on a card. So technically the 2 keys on Mandy are on her investigator card, and test will or lore 8. Reduce the difficulty of this test by 1 for each Silver Twilight enemy in play. So right now that's a 6 test. If you succeed, swap the chosen key with another key in play or with a set-aside key. So right now Jacqueline is at 5. Right now she's down 1, except Occult Theory right here is giving me... Will equal to my lore, so that's 3, which means I'm suddenly at an 8 to 6, which means I'm up 2, and I'm going to put her ability into this test. So, up 2, is there anything else I want to commit? Because as we saw, there is a -3 in the bag. I'm going to also commit Prophetic, so I'm up 4. And I'm pulling 3 tokens. And that should be 3. Right. Token 1 is a -3. We do need to be careful. Token 2 is a 0. And the Elder Sign. We haven't seen Jacqueline's Elder Sign yet this scenario. +1 if this effect is cancelled or ignored, draw 1 card. So Jacqueline will actually cancel the -3 and the Elder Sign, which means we succeed. So I will go find... I'll swap Mandy's skull out for the cultist key. So now we can get into the inner sanctum next turn. And then Jacqueline draws a card because we ignored her Elder Sign. So Jacqueline draws... Emergency Cash to gain 3 resources and draw a card. Let's see, that was action 2. Action 3, that is a Sanctum location, so he's going to be aloof. So he's not going to be aloof. Action 3, I think, will be to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we'll bring Jacqueline back up to the Lodge Catacombs. That way, we have both of them together and we can deal with any enemies that we get. Most importantly, though, we have the cultist key, so now we can get in to the inner sanctum key, or the inner sanctum. But anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Knight of the Inner Circle moves into the location because it's a hunter, so it's no longer aloof, which means it engages with Mandy. I don't know how the forced clause interacts there. After you enter Knight of the Inner Circle's location or vice versa. So maybe he tests to see... No, I don't think he does, actually. I'll have to get an official ruling on that, but I don't... Oh! This could be a problem. So, after you enter Knight of the Inner Circle's location or vice versa, that might be while he has aloof, but... I don't know, actually. I don't know how that would work. But anyway, for now, I'm going to get an official ruling on that, but for now, I'm going to rule that he will engage Mandy right off the bat, just to keep the video moving. So anyway, Mandy will have to take 2 damage, which means Milan will eat it. Normally, trample damage would be a thing, but I'm going to rule that it's not here. Anyway, we'll go ahead and reset everything. My group has never played with that rule of trample damage spilling over, so that's just a house rule that I'm going to be using as well. But anyway, we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Mandy gains 1 resource, goes up to 4, as does Jacqueline. Mandy draws. Blood Right. Okay, this is actually very welcome right now. We saw this earlier, which we used to take out a Cell Keeper. Let me check hand size before I go draw Jacqueline's card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're good there. Jacqueline draws. Open Gate, which would have been a lot more useful earlier in the scenario, but it's a fast. Play only during your turn. Attach to your location, group limit 3 in play. Investigators may move between any 2 locations with an attached open gate as if the locations were connected. Let me check her hand size as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we're good there. Mythos phase, we got our first doom on the agenda, but we're at 2 because of the Acolyte. Mandy draws. Unhallowed Land, test agility 5. For each point you fail by, Jacqueline saw this earlier. Mandy's down 2. And that is where she'll have to test. Fortunately, she's got a lot of sanity to spare right now, so... I'm not too busted up about Mandy nailing a curse with this. A 0, so she's drawing the top... So she's discarding the top 2 cards of the encounter deck. If she nails a curse, she takes a horror, which I'm not too bothered with, and she does nail a curse. So Mandy will go up to 2 sanity, to 2 horror. Jacqueline draws. Expulsion. If there are no cultist enemies in play, Expulsion gains Surge. Otherwise, okay, if there are no otherwise the nearest cultist enemy readies, moves 1 location at a time until it reaches your location, engages you, and makes an immediate attack. Then place each key you control on that enemy. That's actually very unwelcome. So it engages Jacqueline, hits her for 2 damage, and then we place both keys on him. That is rather unfortunate, but there's no help for that at this point. So into the investigation phase now. While we got a little bit of help on that, we got the Knight of the Inner Circle off of Mandy, which helped. We also lost control of the cultist key, so Jacqueline, I think, will need to fix that, and we'll start off in her play area. Jacqueline will try to start cleaning up this mess with a Spectral Razor, which I probably would have used to start the turn either way. So she's attacking plus will, and she's already engaged the enemy. She's up 3, and I'm not going to throw her ability into this yet. I'll probably use the ability on one of her charges of Shrivel on there. So up 3. And I don't think Mandy has anything she wants to commit. No. So up 3. Tentacle touched. Fantastic. So action 2, charge a shriveling, and I will throw Jacqueline's ability into this. But I don't want a repeat of that, or I just get it taken out. All right, action or token 1. The tentacle again? Seriously? I'm up 4, though, trying to take it out. So I'm probably going to have to cancel the tentacle. -3 and a 0. So I do have to cancel the tentacle, but that does keep me from taking 2 horror on the attack. So the Knight of the Inner Circle takes 3 damage. Oh, here they are. So we'll get a 3 damage out for that. And then action 3... we'll have to run it back, I guess. So we're up 4. Elder Thing, which will trigger to cause Jacqueline to take 2 horror. What did I do with the scenario card? I had it earlier when I was looking at an effect for a test. And I don't know where I put it down. Oh, why did I put it in the discard pile? Anyway, minor derpiness aside. -3 if you fail, move 1 doom from the nearest cultist enemy to the agenda. So Jacqueline does take the 2 horror first, because we revealed that. But the Knight of the Inner Circle is defeated, which took way more effort than it should have. Jacqueline gets the 2 keys back. He's defeated. And that will do it for Jacqueline's turn. Mandy's turn. Let's see, that's a will test. I think Jacqueline's probably going to be better served on that. Unless I want to use Blood Right to try... No. I don't think sending Mandy in there alone is a good... I could, though. That's only a fight he's only a fight of 3. Mandy would be up... I could get Mandy up at least 4 on the last charge of Strange Solution, which might not be a completely terrible idea. But anyway, Mandy's turn, I think, will start at her play area. The question right now is, who do I think is entering the Inner Sanctum first? Whoever I think is entering the Inner Sanctum first needs to have the Cultist key. That's a Will 3 test for Jacqueline. That's a Will 3 test. Jacqueline would be up at least 2, depending on if there's anything else I can commit, and I've got plenty of commits in my hand. So she'd be up 3, and I think I want her to enter first anyway, barring anything catastrophic in the Mythos phase. So I think we're just going to have Mandy do a little bit of setup this turn. So, for action 1, she's going to pay 1 resource to play Pantalone. So when it enters play, Mandy will draw 2 cards. And then when I initiate a non-lore test, I can discard Pantalone to use lore for this test instead of whatever skill. So I'll put the mask, we'll put it over here, and then Mandy will draw 2 cards. So card 1, you handle this one. Fast play after you draw a non-peril card, but before resolving its effects. Choose another investigator. The investigator is considered to have drawn that card instead, and you get a resource. And magnifying glass. Fast, you get +1 lore while investigating. Alright, so that was action 1 for Mandy. Action 2 will be to pay 2 resources to play Eon Chart. So uses 3 resources. This is the accessory. During my turn, I can exhaust Eon Chart and spend 1 secret to take one of the following actions: move, evade, or investigate. Which I actually don't want to do that right now. And action 3, we'll get 3 charges out for the other 3 secrets, actually. I think these are my secrets. Action 3, I think Mandy will just take a resource. So that'll bring her back up to 2. And then that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, none of our enemies are hunters right now, so we'll go ahead, re-ready everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Mandy and Jacqueline both gain a resource and go up to 3. Come on, there we go. Mandy draws. Encyclopedia uses 5 secrets. Exhaust Encyclopedia and spend 1 secret to choose an investigator at your location. That investigator gets +2 to a skill of your choice until the end of the phase. Jacqueline draws. Another open gate. Okay. Let me check her hand size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we're clear there. Mythos phase, we got our second Doom on the agenda. 3rd in play because of the Acolyte. Mandy draws. Unhallowed Land again. So she's down 2, and that's where she's going to test. Once again, I'm not bothered by the fail here, just because she can take direct horror all day long. Well, not quite all day long, but you know what I mean. Skull, which as we saw earlier is -X, where X is the highest number of Doom in play. Right now that's 1. So Mandy fails by 3, which means we discard the last 3 cards of the agenda deck, or the encounter deck. And we have no curses, so nothing happens there. But we did run out of cards in the encounter deck, so we have to reshuffle before Jacqueline draws her card. And then this will be Jacqueline's encounter card. She will draw. Mysterious Chanting. Place 2 Doom on the nearest cultist enemy, which once again is Nathan. So we'll put 2 Doom on him and go up to 5 in play. Thanks to that stupid Acolyte that's been just sitting there doing nothing all game. But anyway, that wasn't too terribly catastrophic. So we're into the investigation phase now. And Jacqueline is going to head into the Inner Sanctum, see what she can do about dealing with Nathan. Also, spoiler alert, Jacqueline's turn is starting over at the map. So, action 1, because she controls the cultist key, she'll move over to the Inner Sanctum. Nathan will make friends with her. And then we'll take a look at the Inner Sanctum. So we find Shroud of 4, 2 clues. Forced. After it's revealed, place 1 random set-aside key on this. At the far end of this room, a podium stands atop a wooden platform. Several rows of plush seats face the stage. You've never heard of a meeting room like this within the lodge. This must be a place for only the most dedicated and trusted members. So we'll get the 2 clues out for that. And then Jacqueline has 2 more actions. The parlay she's up 2 on right now, which I will go ahead and action 2 for a parlay. I'll commit 1 of my open gates to go up 3. Yeah. A +1 puts 1 resource on Nathan. Okay. And then action 3 will run that back, and this time I'll throw Jacqueline's ability into it. I'll commit my other I'll commit my other open gate to go up 3 once again. And there's 3. All right. Token 1. A -3, so I need to be very careful on what these other 2 are. I'm up, like I said, I'm up 3. Token 2 is an Elder Sign, which I will probably cancel if I can, and a -1, so I'll cancel the -3 and the Elder Sign to draw a card. So Jacqueline will draw Internal Injury, Joy. At the end of your turn, take 1 direct damage. 2 actions to discard it. But, more importantly, we get to put another resource on Nathan, and then there are 2 resources on him, so he goes into the victory display, which means the Doom comes off of him as well. And choose an investigator to take control of the attached puzzle box, and then advance. So, now... Okay, so, wait a minute, wait. Hold on. Which side needed to go into play? Master of Indoctrination. Okay, so I had the wrong side in play, which means, hang on a second. So, actually, no. So we didn't... Okay, so I gotta back that up. Which means I wouldn't have... Okay. So I need to... Okay, so that actually changes things considerably. The 2 Doom is still on there. Internal Injury wouldn't have been drawn. Yeah, I actually put the wrong side of Nathan into play from the word go. So let's take a look at the right side of Nathan that should have been in play. Nathan Wick, Master of Indoctrination. Yep, okay. Alert. Forced. After you evade Nathan Wick by 3 or more, you steal the puzzle box, add him to the victory display. Alright, so he still had the 2 Doom on him. I was happy to have advanced, but alas... I did not. So, that kind of changes my turn a little bit, but not too bad, I don't think. If anything, it makes me want to beat him up now, which is probably the better plan. I was planning for a fairly easy parlay, but alas, I don't have the parlay option open to me. So, I have 2 actions left, though. Which action 2 will be to throw a charge of Shriveling at Nathan, and I'll throw Jacqueline's ability into this. Because I can bring Mandy in. I can bring Mandy in and just take him out full stop. So I'm going to use a charge of Shriveling and throw her ability at this. So 5, 8 to 4, and I'll commit a copy of Open Gate to go up 5. I'll put that back in. All right. Token 1. The Tentacle, which I will probably have to cancel, which I'll have to cancel. Remember, I'm still up 4, so +1 and a 0. So I do have to cancel the Tentacle, but that puts 3 damage on Nathan, now that I actually have the right side of him in play. It might still take me 2 actions to get rid of him, but that'll work either way. And then action 3 will throw the last charge of Shriveling at Nathan. So I'm up 4, but I'm only pulling 1 token this time. A 0 actually takes Nathan out. So now we get to take control of the puzzle box the right way. Now that I had the right side of Nathan in play. So he goes to the victory display. We choose an investigator. Is it at the location? No. Choose an investigator to take control of the attached puzzle box and advance. I will give it to... I'll give it to Mandy, just in case something Actually, that's a... I'll give it to Jacqueline. If something catastrophic is less likely to happen to her. So, anyway, now we get to advance. We advanced by defeating Nathan, so the puzzle box. If you advance by defeating Nathan Wick, you quickly pry the device from Nathan's hands and flee before you're noticed. Act 3A, the 4 keys. The device is nothing more than a locked puzzle box, just about large enough to hold a pair of shoes. Oh, we need to put a set of keys on a key on the inner sanctum. The device is nothing more than a locked puzzle box, just about large enough to hold a pair of shoes. The diagram on its surface depicts a broken pattern which can be manipulated to no apparent end, and there does not appear to be a keyhole of any kind. Objective. If an investigator is at the same location, control the puzzle box and all 4 keys, advance. So now we need to find one more key, including the one that I'm pulling now, which will be the Elder Thing key, which would get us down into the vault. But anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy will come over to the inner sanctum for action 1, which I will exhaust Pathfinder to do. So actually, this isn't action 1 yet. So I'll exhaust that. Then I'll exhaust the Eon chart as well, and spend a charge to investigate. So I'm up 2, and I'll commit Magnifying Glass to go up 3. Actually, that's a Shroud of 4. So actually, I'm only up 2. I might still be fine, though. +1 gets her a clue. Now actual action 1 will be to investigate. We're still up 1. I will commit... Let's commit Encyclopedia to go up 2. Tentacle touched. And action 3, I'll leave them together as we run the investigate back. -2 fails her, actually. I don't think I had anything I could have committed, but it's too late now. I'm not going to rewind that back that far. But anyway, that will do it for Mandy. That will do it for the investigation phase. Okay, Nathan should have had 2 doom on him, I think. Oh, yeah, he did from the mysterious chanting. So ends and meet, so the agenda should have another doom on it. But anyway, that'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the acolytes are only enemy in play, and he's not a hunter. So we'll go ahead and reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Mandy and Jacqueline will both go up to 4 resources during the upkeep phase. Mandy draws. I've got a plan to fight using lore. Deal +1 damage for this attack for each clue you have to a max of +3 damage. Jacqueline draws. Rite of Seeking. Uses 3 charges, 4 cost to play. Spend a charge to investigate using will instead of lore. If you succeed, discover 1 additional clue at your location. But if you pull a bad symbol, immediately lose all your remaining actions and end your turn. Let me check her hand size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we're good there. Mythos phase. Doom on the agenda goes up to 4. We're at 5 because of the Acolyte. Mandy draws. Another Acolyte, which will spawn in an empty location. I'll put it in the library. Put another Doom on him. Jacqueline draws. Wizard of the Order spawn at any empty location. I think we'll put him at the Lodge Catacombs. And then when the Mythos phase ends, we place 1 Doom on him. So he needs to go toodaloo right now. We'll place a doom on him. We're at 7 right now, so yeah, he definitely needs to go toodaloo right now. Alright, so the question is how? How do we make him go toodaloo? We've got a couple options here. I could potentially throw Jacqueline's ability with the enchanted bow at him, which is not a terrible idea. We do need to get that clue sooner rather than later, though. Plus, we need to find the last key. So, I think we'll start with Jacqueline, and we'll start at her play area. Action 1 for Jacqueline. She's going to clean herself out of resources and discard Shriveling to play out her copy of Clairvoyance. So this is one we're investigating with Will instead of Lore. +3 Will and discover 2 clues if you succeed, but if you pull a good symbol, take 2 Horror. Action 2 will exhaust the bow and use a charge to target the Wizard of the Order. And I think I will use Jacqueline's ability because I need to get rid of him. So 5, 6... we use our copy of Open Gate to go up 3, and I'm using Jacqueline's ability on this as well. I need him gone so Mandy can hopefully get the... So hopefully Mandy can go to that last strengthened doorway location. I'll get the charges for Clairvoyance in a second here, once I finish this test. Token 1. The Skull, which right now is -1. Token 2, Elder Thing, and Mother. Right, so that actually failed us because we had to cancel the Tentacle. That is very unfortunate because that also moves a doom from the nearest cultist to the agenda. So we're at 5 right now. That is going to be a major setback for us. But action 3. Oh, I need to get the charges for. So we do get to the one consolation there is we do get to ignore Retaliate from using the bow. But action 3, I think, will be to go get that to try to get that last clue off the location. So right now she's investigating at 8 to 4. She's up 4. Skull is -1 once again, so she does get the last clue, and she'll take the Elder Thing key as a fast action. Yeah, so we achieved one of the objectives for the turn, but not the one I wanted. So Mandy will jump into her turn, and we'll actually start by pathfindering her way, by using Pathfinder to move over to the map. Pathfinder will bring Mandy over to the Lodge Catacombs, which will make friends with the Wizard of the Order. Action 1 will be to play Bloodright, right here. We're going to leave it as a 2, so we can shuffle it back into the deck. Mandy will draw 2 cards and then discard 2 cards. So card 1, Survey the Area, which gives her agility, which gives her lore equal to her agility, which is 3, and agility equal to her lore, which is 5, and Magnifying Glass. So I'll discard Magnifying Glass and Guided by the Unseen, which I'm not all that happy to see anyway. I'll spend 2 resources to take out the Wizard of the Order. Then we'll exhaust Eon Shards. I look for another one of those. Take a charge off of it. To move down to the last unrevealed Sanctum Doorway location. So here we find Forced. Shroud of 1, 2 clues. Forced, after holding cells is revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a cultist enemy and spawn it in the holding cells. Shuffle the encounter deck. Alright, so we'll get the 2 clues out for that. A cultist enemy. I'm not putting the Wizard of the Order back there. Do we give her... Actually, I think we pull the Cell Keeper. I'm cheating a slight bit, but that's actually risky. So 5, 6, 7. That's going to be 9 doom. I need to. If I pull him, I need to kill him right now. I am going to need to kill him right now. That will give me the last key, but I'm going to need to kill him right now. Do I pull? I will be up. Let's see, 6 to 3, 7, 8. I'll be up 5 on the attack, doing a buttload of damage. I think it's worth the risk. Honestly, I think this is worth the risk, because if we pass that test, that's the last key. If we pass that test, we win I think we win the scenario on the next turn, and we'll still have time. Five, 6. Actually, yeah, we will. I think we'll just barely have time. So yeah, we're going to pull the Cell Keeper, engage him with Mandy, and then get the last key, which is the Skull Key back. So that's action 1. Action 2 will be... Yeah, we'll use the charge. We'll use the last charge on Acidic Ichor. So fighting with a combat of 6, I could react and choose to make this a test of 5, but I'm not going to because the base of 6 is actually higher. So we'll go 7 from I've Got a Plan and 8 on Opportunist, so I'm up 5. Yeah, up 5. Like I said, this is going to be a huge risk, but I think it's worth it. So we get the 2 doom out. Like I said, if we pass this test, we win the scenario here. If we fail, though, we lose. But I think it's worth the risk, so we're up 5. -3 means we defeat him. A doom goes up to the agenda, which means we'll be at 6, 7, 8, advancing to 9 on the Mythos phase. So the Cell Keeper is defeated. We take the Skull Key, and now we have all 4 keys, so we need to get them together. We Pathfindered over to the Lodge Catacombs. Action 1 was to take out the Wizard of the Dark Order that was there. Eon Chart down to holding cells. Action 2... Last charge is Strange Solution to take out the Cell Keeper. So action 3 will actually move back up to the Lodge Catacombs. Right. So I think that will do it then for the Mythos, or for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, we have no hunter enemies in play. So we'll reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Mandy gains 1 resource, goes to 3. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 1. Mandy draws another Blood Right, which has been very useful this scenario. Jacqueline draws Crystal Pendulum, which is way late to the party. 2 cost to play, lore on commit. You get +1 lore. After a skill test at your location begins, exhaust Crystal Pendulum to name a number. If the test succeeds by that or fails by that number, draw 1 card. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Mythos phase, Doom on the agenda goes up to 7. We're at 9 in play because of the 2 Acolytes. Barring anything catastrophic, we win the scenario on the next investigation phase. Mandy draws Knight of the Inner Circle. Spawn any location connected to yours. Alert Aloof Hunter. forced after you yada yada yada. We saw this earlier. We'll put that at the holding cells because that is a location connected to Mandy. Jacqueline draws. Beneath the lodge, if you control at least one key, and Jacqueline controls 3, Beneath the Lodge gains peril and its skill test gets +1 difficulty. Test lore 3. For each point you fail by, you must, which is actually a 4, you must either lose 1 clue or take 1 horror. Right now she's down 1, and a failure wouldn't be completely catastrophic here. So I will commit, I will commit Chthonian Stone and Rite of Seeking to go up 1. And I'm not that bothered by a fail, because I can't fail by... Jacqueline won't get taken out. So I'm not going to throw her ability into this either, so she's up 1. And a 0 gets her clear of that. So perfect. So those are gone. That goes to the discard pile. Now we're into the investigation phase. We'll start with Mandy and we'll pathfinder over to the map. We're declaring the start of Mandy's turn. Open player window. We'll exhaust Pathfinder to move over to the Inner Sanctum. And we double check the act. If investigators at the same location control the puzzle box and all 4 keys, which we do, Jacqueline's got the puzzle box and every key but the skull, which Mandy has, so we advance. Alright. Opening the box. Though the box itself seems to fight you at every turn, with all 4 key components in your possession, you finally manage to piece together how to open the contraption. First, you twist and contort the box's many mechanical devices until the image on its lid lines up perfectly with the diagram in your possession, the rune key. Next, you chant the Latin incantation described on the small wooden plaque you found, the cultist key. It takes a few tries to get it right, but eventually you hear a click as the surface of the wooden container shifts and changes. A round indentation has appeared on the side of the box, matching the size of your mysterious black onyx coin, the Elder Thing key. As soon as you place the coin inside, another wooden panel opens on the other side, revealing a keyhole. Finally, you insert the key of Bone, the skull key, into the keyhole and turn it. The lid begins to open, and suddenly the entirety of the room is engulfed in a rush of air as all light, color, sound, and matter is sucked into the box. Check the campaign log. If the investigators are members of the Lodge, R1. Otherwise, R2. We are not members of the Lodge, so let's move back up top for R2. We're all set, so let's jump into Resolution 2.
Resolution 2. Every fiber of your being is stretched as the box pulls you in. However, before it can accomplish its task, you manage to reach out and slam the lid shut. You shudder uncontrollably as your senses slowly return to you. The box is more dangerous than you could have imagined. In the hands of the Lodge, it could have been a powerful weapon, though you're not sure what they intended to do with it. Just then, you hear several Lodge members approaching. You quickly shift one of the room's bookcases aside and hide behind it before they enter the room. You're sure you heard something in here? I don't see anybody, one of them says. The other pauses, presumably inspecting the room for signs of intruders. It must have been nothing. It's all right. We're all a bit on edge since the trap box went missing. Come, we don't want to be late for the ceremony. Tonight is an important night. Their footfalls become softer as they depart. The man's words linger in your thoughts momentarily. What did he mean by tonight being an important night? This could be just as important as the puzzle box they had been attempting to open. You quietly follow the 2 men as they head deep into the tunnels beneath the Lodge. You struggle to keep up with them while trying to keep your footsteps silent on the stone floor of the passageway. Finally, they enter a large door with the familiar 3 arrows of Silver Twilight emblazoned along its surface. Ritualistic chanting fills the hall from the other side. You approach slowly, or softly, placing your ear against the door to listen in. Brothers and sisters, an elderly voice announces, thank you for coming to this hallowed gathering. The time we have long waited for approaches. You recognize the man's voice. It is Carl Sanford, president of the Silver Twilight Lodge. For many decades, the Order of the Silver Twilight has pursued knowledge that can elevate humanity. We have defended against threats to our very existence. We have sacrificed everything for this sacred cause. Now, one of these threats terrorizes our city, and once again, we must do what has to be done in order to protect it. The crowd responds with solemn approval. Tonight, we will complete the ritual we began many nights ago at the center of the unvisited isle. Tonight, we will finally bind the Revenant and learn what it knows. We must not allow the secrets of Azathoth to be lost to those who would do humanity harm. The cult replies with a monotone hymn, and you take this opportunity to flee the lodge before you are discovered. The conspiracy you have unveiled leaves you with even more questions. If the Revenant Mr. Sanford speaks of is what you think it is, binding it will surely protect Arkham, as he claims. But what knowledge do they seek to learn from it? And what in the hell is an Azathoth? In your campaign log, record the investigators discovered how to open the puzzle box.
Which I've already recorded that in the campaign log. I'm starting to do a little bit of cleanup on camera as usual, so pardon any background noise. Continue.
One investigator may choose to add the puzzle box story asset to his or her deck. This card does not count toward that investigator's deck size.
Alright, so we saw the puzzle box earlier. Honestly, I think I'm going to... The question is, who should I give this to have an easier time getting it out of their deck? My initial inclination is to give it to Mandy, because I think she'll have an easier time getting it out of her deck with how much she's searching. And I think I'm going to go with my initial instinct. I'm going to give that to Mandy. But as usual, I'm open to being wrong on that. Just, again, as usual, be respectful about that in the comments. So the puzzle box to Mandy. Okay, continue.
Investigator earns experience equal to the Victory X value of each card in the Victory display.
Okay, pause that for a second. So let me look at my locations. We emptied that one. 2, 3. We have 4 experience because Nathan is in the Victory this display. So that will bring us up to 5 experience. Continue.
Skip Interlude 3, the Inner Circle, and proceed directly to Scenario 6, Union and Dissolution.
Right, we're skipping the interlude because we are very much enemies of the Silver Twilight Lodge. But anyway, that will do it for this scenario. Again, 4 experience. So Wednesday we'll upgrade the decks, and Sunday we'll continue the fall campaign with return to Union and Dissolution. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.